Today on the Winning with Shopify podcast.
We're now the #1 sock on Trustpilot in the UK. Bamboo is sweat wicking, thermoregulating, antimicrobial, you name it, it's got some type of descriptor.
I like to call myself the Formula King internally.
I still can't believe people aren't on Shopify. As a business owner trying to quote unquote do SEO right is a struggle on tangibility and speed to results. I feel like that's probably the #1 thing holding everyone back on SEO.
We normally do an hour episode. We might do 20 or 30 hours today. Do you ever find that in your warehouse you have dead stock? You can't sell it, no one wants to buy it, and you can't get a refund on it. Or alternatively, you're missing inventory in your warehouse that you need. You've got sales coming in and you're low on stock and you haven't ordered more stock in time. All these things hit profit, and I've been there. I've run my own Shopify store and had exactly that problem. But we've partnered it up with Inventory Planner, who have the most incredible app to help you manage that and forecast exactly what products, what SKUs, even down to what color of product you need to order in advance to make sure stock levels remain consistent throughout. They're also running a 7-day boot camp. And if you want to go and sign up to that, it's 7 emails over 7 days. And it takes the same amount of time as your morning coffee. And in 7 days, like me, you can become an inventory management pro. Both links are in the description. Enjoy. Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's content. I hope you're enjoying the show recently. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And final quick announcement from me is if you want to come on as a guest, if you've got a story to tell, you might have seen we put this on our newsletter the other day as well. We've been inundated by brands who want to come on the show. So if you want to come on the show and share your story, then please do get in touch. We've got a few slots later on this year and we want to get some cool stories out there. So just drop us a note. Tell us what your story is, what your angle is, and why you want to come on. And we'd love to get you on the show. Without further ado, Andrew from Bearkind is joining me today. So Andrew, welcome.
Can I get a whoop whoop? Bring the energy, Nick.
Whoop.
Thanks so much for having me. Really glad to I can come on. It's been a super easy process for those guests looking to kind of join. So I'm looking forward to this pod. Let's do it.
Nice. And I didn't tell Andrew to say that, but I'll give you that £5 note later. Well, no, really appreciate it. And we try to make it as smooth as possible for people like yourself, Andrew. You guys reached out to us obviously and said we want to come on. And the first thing that Byron, who's the editor-in-chief of the podcast, I like to call him, Byron said immediately, well, we've had Lucy on before from your organization, which is amazing. For those who missed that episode though, Andrew, I'm going to hand over to you now for the next couple of minutes. Tell us a bit about the business, what you guys do, how you started, and what your involvement is on a daily basis.
Yep. So my organization, I don't know if you know this, Nick, but Lucy is actually also my wife. So organization and family.
I didn't know if we were going to say that. So yeah. But I did know that, yes.
So we're excited to kind of merge the family and organization together. Bearkind is an animal saving bamboo sock business. We save the animal in the sock by donating to over 45 different charities all around the world. We've been doing it now for 7 years. Our mission really is to encourage all businesses to donate a percentage of profits that makes sense for their business. And that's why we're here today and wanted to come onto the pod. We're seeing tremendous value from really making that a super large part of our value proposition to customers. I can't tell you how often, I know we're here on the SEO side, but on the paid media side with Facebook as well, customers just come to bat for us all the time. And it's so crazy when you see the haters come on and then you see, the warrior heroes that are our customers come into bat and say, actually, I think the 4th or 5th thing that comes up on Google at the moment is Bearkind legit. And the answer is yes. And that's what our customers do, come into bat for us. And, we're really excited to be supporting over 100 different animals now across those 45 different charities. And we're just trying to become more and more of a fashion business as we try to expand our range and really, I guess, the applicability and interest from eco warriors, not just focusing on them, but focusing on more of the fashionistas as well. So hence why we're trying to get out there on SEO and get in front of people, not just on animal socks where we've always been really strong, but for bamboo socks like I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I love about your product as well, you just reminded me that when I spoke to Lucy previously, if you buy some socks from you guys that have like a turtle pattern on, the donation to charity goes to the good cause. It looks like if you're not watching on YouTube, Andrew's just walked off to go and get some of the socks. But I'm right in saying, aren't I, Andrew, that the money actually goes towards a turtle related cause, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main thing that we wanted to do and kind of get behind. For those not watching, I'm holding up the red squirrels and our bee socks. So we donate directly to charity. So, for example, like with the red squirrels, we donate to wildlife trusts around the UK, trying to really encourage them. Obviously, you see great grey squirrels all around London, but no more red squirrels, unfortunately. So it's just about helping the actual animal on the sock. That's kind of our unique thing. I tell you what, I could do without managing 45 different charities and just do one. That would be a lot easier. But we try to make it as, clear cut that, you're donating actually to save the walrus or what have you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely amazing, and the designs are really cool as well. So you guys have obviously looked very carefully at the position of product to say we need a product people want to buy, and then one of the reasons they buy it then is the cause as well. So it becomes a win-win, as opposed to, let's be honest, some charities when you've like bought a free T-shirt at their fundraiser or something, and you've gone, it's not the best quality, but I'm glad the cause was good. I mean, bamboo is an incredibly good material to make. I mean, I used to have my own bamboo sunglasses business. So I know a lot about bamboo and the speed in which it grows and everything. So it's a really good, comfortable material, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tremendous. I think we're now the number one sock on Trustpilot in the UK, which is a great soundbite that I love to hit on. And really kind of setting the business up in the right way. Using bamboo was just such a great critical first decision. Bamboo is sweat wicking, thermoregulating, antimicrobial, you name it. It's got some type of descriptor that beats most other products, and it is really fast growing. And all throughout that supply chain, and then I think most importantly for customers, you get a great feeling product at the end of the day that is going to last for a long period of time and much longer than those kind of other fibers. I won't even
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
them. Cotton. Ooh.
Yeah. Good, good. I'm actually wearing a 100% cotton hoodie at the moment, but yeah, bamboo is an incredible material. And I think the other, just before we dive into the SEO bit that everyone's probably expecting and waiting for, given the title of this, with the charities as well, and doing something good, there must be so many good opportunities for you guys around. Like it's a good corporate gifting gift. That's a big order through charities, organisations, and I'm the trustee of a charity local to us as well that helps young guys not smoke weed and get into gangs and other stuff
Awesome.
instead. Just saying that alone might have got us blacklisted on YouTube for this episode. So I might have to scrub that. We'll see what happens. If you're hearing this, all was good. But we're doing that and we're trying to get them into football. And so a young 15, 16-year-old lad actually played for the first team in a championship club the other day. And the charity had been running a year. But my point really is like through that organization, I've actually met a couple of what are now our clients. And it's just such a good way to network. And it's all for like a really good, strong cause. So the moment I meet another business through that or a potential prospect or opportunity, we're both there with a shared understanding. And the first thing is, how do you know Yash? And Yash is the guy who runs the charity. Like, how do you know him? And it's like, there's that common kind of connection, which is so different to when if you're, I don't know, cold calling, cold emailing, trying to find a new retailer, wholesaler or something like that. But yeah, you must have had some good opportunities, throughout the years on that side of things, just through the pure networking of it as well.
I mean, and kind of bringing it back to the SEO point, I think the big one for us is we're winning terms that you really shouldn't be winning as a product business like us. So, the other day I was looking at we're number 3 for tree frogs, just flat tree frogs,
Wow.
which I would have expected tree frog socks, tree frog bamboo socks maybe, but not to have just tree frogs. And we're really ranking for those higher volume keywords where we really don't have a place to. And that's just because we've got so much great content off the back of it. And sure, we sell a product at the end of the blog, which doesn't hurt us. But, you've got that kind of like really tangible aspect, which I think, your audience is probably looking for as well. And it makes it really easy to write content. We're talking about our trip out to Slovakia to save the wolves and track wolves. Sounds amazing. Great content. You can talk a lot about, the fact that we wore our great socks, which
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
hurt. So yeah.
It's amazing, and let's dive into SEO. You're already mentioning some of the things that, and as an SEO person, and I'll say it up front and foremost, well, we're not Bearkind's SEO agency, but the agency have done some incredible work, obviously in tandem with you guys internally as well. So just a quick disclaimer that I haven't invited Andrew on to make me look good. I've actually brought him on because I want to learn how they've done this. I think there's loads you guys could learn as well. But Andrew, you are number 2 for bamboo socks at the moment in the UK. How have you done that?
Yeah, it's been huge. So we work with Blink SEO, and they do some great work, like the guys and girls at Spec do with Nick. And we've been really lucky to kind of, I think, hit at least in the sock space a couple of things early that you guys will probably already know. After the Yandex hack, it came out that collection pages are really strong, and that's what we've been focusing on. So wherever we can make our mega menu just absolutely expanded, increase that as much as you possibly can. Add in, as links around color, animals, which we were kind of dominating already, but now we're absolutely dominating. And then the whole business is focused around bamboo socks. So it was just about kind of getting that taxonomy right in the first place, and then going through and filling out the above the fold copy, talking about those areas. And that's really the most of what we've done. We used a tool which I know is similar to the work that you guys do, called Macaroni, which is like AI enabled. And I just click, accept, do all of my internal linkings. We did about 1,000 in 12 hours, which is crazy to think. Thankfully, I didn't sit down for 12 hours in a row. My hands would have been bleeding.
Yep.
But our team did that over the course of a couple of days. And I think that was one of the big things for us, is making SEO tangible. And Nick, you've been in the game for a much longer period of time than me. We've just started on it for probably the past about 6 months. And it's just AI is making it much easier right now to win. And so, yeah, product collection pages, big menus, absolutely recommend that to everyone who hasn't done that. And obviously some businesses won't be able to do that if you're kind of a hero product, but if you've got a relatively large catalog, that's what you can do. And yeah, our website's seen tremendous gains from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've started frantically writing notes on my notepad. I mean, we normally do an hour episode. We might do 20 or 30 hours today. But the 12 hours you mentioned, I call it the glass of wine project. I mean, as an agency, there's so many things that, and you sitting on the other side of the screen from me, like, you'll know some of the things your agency come back to you and go like, okay, this dot here needs to be on every page, and there's no way to automate it. You've just got to go and find it, change it, switch it, whatever. Like, we can do it for you. I call them the glass of wine projects. Like, kids have gone to bed, shut the curtains, get maybe a bottle and a glass of wine, and just get drinking, get clicking, and see what we can do. Where AI, I think, is really excelled, as you say, is like spotting those internal linking opportunities and that kind of thing. The flip side of that as well, I don't know if you've used, and we've no endorsement with these guys either, Matrixify in Shopify. Is probably the most important app. Is, as you say, if you've not got a hero product, if you've got a bigger website, Matrixify is just fundamental. It basically means you can turn all your products or all your collections into a spreadsheet and just go gung-ho with some. I like to call myself the formula king internally. My title is under threat at the moment by a couple of my team. But we go absolutely gung-ho on formulas. But also we use a thing called SheetGBT. There's several versions of it, but using that to drill down and go like, okay, the top 2 rows on this are my best performing collections on Shopify. What are they doing that the rest of the collections in this sheet are not doing? What stands out about those that the rest don't have? So we do stuff like that. And the thing with AI, some of my team sometimes like, I've spent 2 hours trying to get this chat GBT thing to work. I'm like, just stop. AI is not always productive. Like it works in some situations if you know how to use it, but it's almost like it's not going to replace the human, but it's a much sharper but more complicated tool. I heard it on a podcast recently where somebody described it like a Typhoon fighter jet. If there's several computers on it, because if one crashed and it was doing everything, the plane would fall out the sky. Like I think they said it's aerodynamically unstable as an aircraft because there's so many little fins, wings, and other stuff going on across the jet that the computers have to keep all of that because humans don't have enough limbs or cannot compute with their brains fast enough to keep all of them in the right thing, just to keep the thing flying flat. And that's why they're so nimble and crazy, is you can do one thing and it moves so quick. And I think AI is very similar, as you've got to use it for that. When we talk about collections, I want to drill down on this because we have this conversation with clients quite a lot, and we use A/B testing tools to see what conversion rate does before we deploy it, and some other funky stuff as well. On collections, what have you guys found is your winning formula for things outside of the obvious? There's some products listed here. Like, what are the things you've added to your collections that other people could try on their sites that have specifically worked for you guys?
I think it's about hitting the USPs, because obviously you're going to be getting that kind of that. I mean, you'll know the terms better than me, but you've got basically your big header, and then you've got a little bit of copy underneath it, and that's partially what's going to show on Google. And just making sure that you're hitting relevant areas for those businesses. So if you're talking about businesses, I should say, collection. So say like our dog socks, right? Let's be talking about dog related things. You're taking the dog for a walk, the perfect sock for them. Just kind of like key proof points and USPs for your brand and also for that product. That's what we tried to hit. And then I think constantly with an e-commerce business is what are those parts around objection handling, free fast delivery, that type of thing. Where can I get some discounts that make it a bit more juicy for me as an average order value as a business, and also more interesting for the person feeling like they get a great deal. So they're kind of like the big three that we use internally, and that's driven great success for us. And then I think to your kind of A/B test position, we did some really interesting work there, which I think was a lot of fun, just trying to work out, okay, what pages had we optimized and not optimized, and just looking at that over time, over the course of 3 months, as you kind of start to drop in those optimizations, how does that traffic increase look? And we're actually down on traffic from an SEO perspective on Google Organic, but we're up in the key areas. So the key areas being those transactional collection pages where we want to be driving customers. We're doing a lot less work on blogs, for example, and we're seeing the benefits to the bottom line, which is ultimately why we do it.
Yeah, yeah. You've reminded me of probably one of the most interesting SEO projects I ever did, for all the wrong reasons. And we turned up, and it was I won't say who, but there's a really big retailer we work with. I think they're $8 billion global business per year, and we work with their whole European team. And they basically came to us and said, "Look, when we stock other brands on our website, we are allowed to peer for all keywords that don't include any of their names." So the first project we had done was like, let's get a brand's A to Z, drop down on the menu. And then you go straight into like, I'm going to buy Nike. And you go into Nike and there's all the Nike products. And they were like, get those off Google. And we're like, okay, fine. So we did. And then, of course, the VP of ecom pulls us into a meeting and goes, I hired you 4 months ago. And she shows us the graph and she's like, is this real? And I'm like, yes, yes, it is. But I was like, if we break it down, all the right rankings have gone up. And if you're someone searching for a brand, they've gone down. And she sort of went, oh, right. We're all not going to get fired after all. Excellent news. And that was like the end of the meeting.
God,
But it
saved
was
it.
funny that it was like, yeah, in all of our contracts, when we buy in a brand, we're not allowed to talk about the brand at all until someone hits our website. We can focus on you trying to buy a men's t-shirt, but we can't focus on you want a Nike t-shirt. So it's interesting, as you say, like the total traffic volume's actually gone down. We tend to look at that a lot with SEO on both the total volumes. So actually, if the total clicks are like flying up, are transactions. And sometimes no, it's like we've nailed it for blog content and we're giving loads of free advice out, but no one's buying the products. So we've got two options now. Are people going to start buying the products, or are we going to just not kill this, because it's all good. All news is good news on that front. But we need to just stop working on the blog and the news and the FAQs and stuff. We just focus on those. The collections generally are where you're gonna get all of the traction. And the second thing as well is, it really bugs me when brands talk exclusively about conversion rates. We do get clients going, is this right? I'm looking in my Shopify Plus dashboard and conversion rates come down. It's like, yeah, next question. Like, have you looked at the one next to it? It says revenue. And it's like, the wider the volume and the more top of funnel you start to go, if you were only attracting people that are going to visit your site once or twice and purchase, but now you're attracting people that are going to visit your site 5 or 10 times and then purchase, the 5 or 10 time people are on top of the 1 to 2 time people. So you've got a bigger audience, more transactions, more revenue, but your conversion rate means that if I come to your site 10 times, I am a 10% conversion rate for one single user. So if it's 1% of people buy from you, it's going to look like 0.1% if they all do what I do, but your volumes are higher. And say, you're nodding a lot, Andrew. I take it you guys must take a perspective looking at all of these stats if you're really content that your total traffic's down, but revenue is going up and it's going up in the right areas.
Yeah, I mean, I should say it's down slightly just on
Okay.
Google Organic, right?
Yeah.
But those like transactional pages way up, maybe double. And I think that's also need to consider what I'm about to say next, which is we have stopped all paid spend on Google and on Facebook as well. We are a heavily we're heavily a quarter 4 business, and quarter 1 through 3 is just dead. I have tried for years now to try and make something out of nothing, and people don't want to buy socks quarter 1 through 3. Sure, a little bit. Our wholesale business is different. You've got traffic kind of coming there naturally. Maybe you're a wildlife trust or what have you. People are going for walks, no problems. That continues to do well. But people want to buy our socks in particular for gifts. everyone gets a packet of socks at Christmas, right? The old adage is 100% true. And so these past 4 or 5 years, we've just been flogging what seems just like a missed opportunity. How come we're not getting any sales? Some other businesses do have little pops if they're in the sock business, but maybe they're more predominantly a Father's Day type or a male-driven audience, and they'll get a small spike for Father's Day, but that's it. And so actually at the start of this year, we thought, you know what, let's just give it a try. Let's cut all paid spend. Let's just focus on SEO, see what that does. Year on year, I'm down 1% in revenue, but my profitability must be up 3 or 4 times. I need to get that exact number just because of how powerful, the SEO has been. So I think it's, like you say, looking at the whole picture. I love that when someone's like, oh yeah, conversion's right down, so I'm just not going to do that. Okay, well, that's no problems because that's a win
Yeah.
for me, and I'll review the profitability of the business.
Yeah. I love that you started this by saying like, "Can I get a whoop?" I did that at the beginning of a talk about SEO. I think it was a year or 18 months ago now, and I said like, "Hey guys, check out this graph of like conversion rate, average ranking, and just a few." Well, I described as like vanity metrics, and said, "Look at all of this! Aren't I a genius? Can I get a whoop?" And no one said anything apart from one guy from a competing SEO agency. It was like, "Whoop! What client's that? I want to sell to them." I was like, "Well, look, let's." I said, "This business are crushing it, aren't they? They're making way more money." And then showed them the next slide, and it was like, average order value, conversion rate, and a few other metrics to be like, well, not conversion rate, sorry, but yeah, average order value, total revenue, revenue per user had gone up from paid channels where you pay per click. So it was all these kind of really important metrics that that had actually synchronized up. Our partners at Seguna have released a brand new app for Shopify, and it's called Shopify Connect for Canva. You can essentially look at all of your product images from Shopify directly in Canva and export them straight back. This can save you a lot of time. If you want to find out a bit more about this or go and find the app yourself, you can go to seguno.com/Canva. Enjoy. I want to jump back to content. I've just glanced at my notes quickly, and there's a couple of things that I think we should talk about on content. When you talk about content, we've mentioned the collections. Do you guys hone in just on collection optimization then? Or actually do blog posts play a significant part to you? Do you optimize product pages as well? You mentioned earlier about internal links. So there must be more going on than just the collections themselves. So to another brand who's listening to this and going, okay, I'd love to cut all my paid spend. I'd love to focus more on this. What other pages do you guys optimize? Like, where is the area of focus? Or actually, have you just really nailed down that collections are the thing that work for our business?
It's really interesting because the biggest bugbear I have as a business owner trying to quote unquote do SEO right is a struggle on tangibility and speed to results. And I feel like that's probably the number one thing holding everyone back on SEO. Tangibility is about increased profits. Speed of results is about how quickly can I go up the rankings and then actually see a difference. You'll know this way better than me, Nick. So apologies if I
Yeah.
butcher the numbers, but
No,
you
I
know,
completely agree. Yeah.
yeah. And if you're at number 6 on Google, you're at 1% of clicks that are going to that term. But if you're number 1, you're at 30% of clicks. So the delta between 1 and 6 is 30 times. It's unbelievable, right? And so there's like, how can I get to that 30 times as soon as possible is really important. And so we've kind of like, I guess we kind of took a step back and said, okay, we can make this work. Let's get to speed. And then how can I think the third part is like, how is it explainable and easy? And that was the biggest problem we had as well. So those kind of 3 areas. And then now that we've got explainability, when I'm speaking to business owners that, aren't yet there at having their own agency who has the specialization of it and knows exactly what to do, and you're benefiting from that skill set, is I recommend one, just using a mega menu and going really hard on making sure you've got lots of categories that you can go after that Google can search. And then 2 is collections. And in that order, I think it's really helpful to kind of like optimize and you'll see results straight away. 3, 4, 5, 6, which is what we're working on now. We're starting to put in people also search for types of query strings that make it easier for people to find. And then in answer to your question around product pages, for example, we haven't done much there, if I'm frank. And why is that? We want to send all of our traffic to our collection pages. Every single thing I've ever tested on wherever I send my customers, other than if someone searched for puff and sock, hedgehog sock or whatever that looks like specifically to the animal, we send it all to our collections all page. Everything. Nothing beats it. We must have done hundreds of custom landing pages, hundreds of time trying to send them to a particular sock. So we go everything to collections, and I think that might be, and it'd be interesting to get your sense, Nick, because we're such a low average order value. 30 quid on the average order value, average price per product is 10 quid. So, if you're only adding one sock and going directly to the product, we're not going to make money. But if you're adding and you have the ability to kind of quickly add a couple socks to the basket, the collection page is the most valuable one for us, but that's not going to be the most valuable one for everyone.
I love that. You've actually described probably about 10 to 15% of what we do as an agency. And we're normally the first people to say to a new client, like, hey, we're doing this. With the mega menu, we call it the shop buy exercise. And I love what you've described. And the only reason I don't want to just repeat what you said, because that's a waste of everybody's time who's listening. What I want to add to it, though, to try and maybe spark some ideas to all of you guys listening, I would say, is if I call it shop buy, think of all the different variants, and you can see this in keyword data to decide to do exactly what you've just described, Andrew, is what to put in that mega menu. Some of our clients, like I've used this example loads of times. We worked with a massive dress company years ago. They weren't very well known, but they were massive in terms of, I think they had nearly 1 million different items plus sizes. Yeah, their Google Shopping feed was insane. We had to get a script to use on Google Sheets just to look at the feed, because there were over 1 million items and they all came in about 6 sizes. So it was a lot. And then they were like, we're going into 3 more countries. And it was like, okay, and mine just
My
like,
gosh, plus
now I need,
translation.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And that was before ChatGPT existed. But with those guys, if I just look left to right across their nav, there were no drop downs, there was no mega menu. And the left to right, they weren't even in what I would say the same kind of variant. It wasn't like they were all the different colors. They weren't the different types of dress. It was like, there'd be like prom dress, that's an occasion, red carpet dress, also an occasion. And then it was like our sequin dress range. Well, that's a material / design. Then it was like our summer maxi dress range. I'm like, well, that's a style of dress. And then the next one was just like, I think it was a color like black dresses, which was reference to their name. And it was like, guys, you need all these. And they're on Magento 1 back then, to give you an idea of how long ago this was. We hate Magento. We don't. If you're on Magento and you need help, please do still call us. But yeah, on Shopify, it's much easier to change. But we looked at that and we based a huge bit of research. And those 1 million products, we actually used the Google Shopping feed to then go back to SEO and go, right, these are all the brands of dress that you sell. And there weren't actually loads. So we were like, we're going to ignore brands. It's less than 10% of your thing. 90% of your products are your own brand. These are all the different occasions, the materials, the sizes, the colors. And the whole top then on the left part of the menu, the only bit that wasn't clickable said shop by and colon. And then we had size and a drop down of all their sizes. They also, quite interestingly, where most women's sizes go like 6, 8, 10, 12 and go up in 2s in the UK, they had middle sizes. So we had all the size ranges and we had them by odds or evens. And that was and we found out doing the odds and evens worked really, really well. Then we had shop by occasion, and under that was all the different occasions. Shop by dress style, so maxi skirts, cocktail dresses. I've learnt loads about lots of random topics, and dresses is one of them over the years. And so we
I
had
love
all of these
that.
different things.
Shopify, yeah.
Yeah, and we would actually shuffle the nav as well based on like prom dresses. Search volume for prom dresses is high from January up until prom season in sort of June, July. But we learned from more than one retailer we've worked with over the years that prom dresses, they sell more of them in January if you are a discount, bargain, get it now type brand. And they sell way less of them until probably about May time, ahead of June, July prom season. So it was really interesting actually then going, what does that do for our paid activity? So if we've got good deals, do it in January, February, so people get a good deal as soon as we're out of Christmas. And if you don't have good deals and it's more expensive and stuff, it's a wish list, join our newsletter, join to get 10% off, but you got 3 months to use it, etc., etc. Like all really, really, really cool messaging. But that shop buy that's how we try to sort of phrase it in our minds of exactly what you're talking about. But it also means in the mega menus, and I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on this, we don't just put Shopify collections in them or Magento categories in them. We also put little other links. There might be, say, there's like 4 columns in the mega menu, or on mobile, there's 4 little bits you can click to expand. Within those, there might be a 5th one that is actually like, here's our helpful advice. And down the helpful advice is like buying guides, FAQs, like for you guys, like what charities do we support under these different things, or how do how much of the money goes to wherever. It's almost like reassuring material. So I don't know if you guys have tried the reassuring bit as well, but we tried to integrate more than just collections. And there's always this trade-off. When we do that, we lose conversion a little bit, but we gain lots of SEO. So you have to be really careful, like we're gaining enough SEO to knock that bit of conversion that total revenue goes up. It's not simple, but yeah, I don't know how much you guys have played then on collection pages within the mega menus, like add in other things as like reassurance. You mentioned USPs earlier, so I assume you've done some of this.
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's like been the key priority. I think the main part for us as a brand is convincing people that the work that we do is legitimate and, you know, impactful. And so we've run our impact report for the past 5 years, and we're really proud of that. It's so much work goes into it. Um,
Nice. Yeah, that's really
but
cool.
yeah, and we're just trying to like kind of push that type of angle. So that kind of thing came naturally to us. So I think we were over indexed at that kind of space and not e-com enough. So we've kind of taken a step back from that for us. But I think you're right. Like for other brands that would work. The other big one for us is B2B e-commerce and driving that through Fair. So we're smashed that. We started a little YouTube channel on it called Candid Founders. So check that out. But we're just trying to like really share what works on the B2B e-commerce space. And that's actually 50% of our business outside of quarters 1 through 3. So I feel like we're always sat there focused on what is the every man and girl, or every man and woman, I should say, searching for on Google from a B2C perspective, but what are we doing for B2B? And we've actually done a decent amount of work in that space. So that's probably one that I think has worked well for us recently. There's a lot of marketplaces out there. We really want to be the number one place for socks generally. I go bamboo socks on the direct to consumer, but I go socks on the B2B. We're actually the number one sock brand on Fair, the B2B e-commerce
Nice.
platform, and that's been
Yeah.
huge for us. Really just after one of my mates just said, hey, why don't you check this place out, and you never know what works, and that's worked brilliantly well for us. So that's probably another area that I think is underappreciated, is that B2B side, and B2B agencies can help a lot
Yeah.
with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many of our clients as well, we always say, like, do you do corporate gifting? Do you get orders for like suddenly like 200 lines instead of, as you said earlier, kind of £10 each, 3 per order on average, like, which is cool, but I can see why Google ads and meta ads is tough. Trying to make a margin whilst also paying for the product and running a business within that margin is tough. But with the B2B side, yeah, we've done quite a few things where we've actually like added something onto product pages as a call to action. Say like, are you a B2B customer? Get a custom quote, or come to come to us. I think one of them we've even put like a 10-minute consultation, and we will build your corporate gifting campaign for you. All they're doing is just going, you've got 100 employees, it's 100 items, how many are men, how many are women, or should we do something completely unisex, what floats with your business, bang. But by calling it, we're going to do your B2B corporate gifting campaign for you, is really, really powerful. One client in particular, we've actually put something on that now as well that says, again, trying to, like you do with customers, what are their pain points? What do we need to do and offer to make someone go, I have to buy this, or I have to buy it from these guys specifically? One of the things we found is that with corporate gifting, the HR teams or the PA to the CEO, whoever's been put in charge of this thing, they hate the fact that they have to then just have this giant pile of socks or whatever in their office and try and get them out to everyone and wrap them and stuff. It's like, we'll do free gift wrapping for you because you're buying so many, and we'll ship them direct to people's houses. Upload a CSV into this system, and we'll just send the lot out, and it just goes straight into Shopify as if it was tons of orders. Nice, and they're all prepaid, nice and simple, and they just pay on an invoice over bank transfers. So like, just making that process as smooth as possible. I As a business, I've ordered so much stuff. I mean, you were commenting on like the plants behind me and whatever. I actually bought these from a company in the UK online, and I remember chasing for about a month and a half just to get a VAT invoice from them. And I'm like,
Oof,
this is a big
ouch.
major retailer in the UK. I'm like, how many businesses must buy stuff for their offices? And I bought this from your like office range on the
Yeah,
website, and you can't even get me a VAT invoice. It's like, just that's a
ouch.
clear pain point for any business to buy from. So now I, quite frankly, I go on Reddit just to see if someone's mentioned VAT invoice and the brand before I buy stuff now. And some companies are much better. Like Wayfair send you a tax email, an email with tax fare listed on it immediately, which is much better. But I think all these pain points are really, really important. And as you say, they very much flow into content. Um, What are you guys planning to do next then? Are products next on the list? Have you still got a ton of work to do on collections? Do you have another big launch coming up? Are you changing products based on SEO rankings you've got? Like, what are some of the strategies you're looking to deploy for the rest of this year?
The next one, I'm very much just like focus on the here and now and rapidly iterate with what we've got next. And what we've got next is, people also search for or related searches, I think is what the nomenclature is like. So just we're going after related searches next. We've got, 100 products, couple hundred collections. So I just feel so sorry for our SEO team internally to kind of give it a crack. But that will be the next big one, the related searches for us. I'm really excited to that. We've already got to Bamboo Socks number 2, which is tremendous. The other company is, he who shall not be named in my kind of view. I have a very different view on
Yeah,
competitors. I'm just 100% like just focus on my lane and make sure I kind of
yeah,
just, smash that out.
and own it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just own it. And those competitors have been around for, 40 plus years. They're the biggest name in UK socks, and we're number 2. So to be able to punch up against them is, fantastic. And we're just coming, like we've just started in comparison. Domain rankings, all that sort of stuff that they've got, in spades, and we're still, second and chomping at the bit on some keywords for number 1. So yeah, it'll be related searches, but that's I think that'll be a
yeah,
decent
yeah.
amount of work.
Amazing. I always like to think of, I sometimes say it to clients, like, I like to think that your competitors right now are having a war room meeting about our SEO. That's, certainly when you're so much smaller and chomping at the bit. I mean, I've seen it both sides, and I've been in those big retail boardrooms where they're saying, like, how are all these little guys? Like, we had it with a massive cosmetic, like global cosmetic brand a few years ago. They were like, how are all these little guys just popping up Shopify stores and catching up with us? And we said, well, in the UK alone, the number of Shopify stores doubled in the first 3 months of lockdown during COVID in 2020, doubled. And Tim Sumner from Shopify came on the show and shared those stats later in the year once they'd sort of worked out what had happened. But literally every competitor you had, you now have 2. It's ridiculous. Or where you had 6, you now have 12. There's certainly a lot going on. I guess to ask one more question on this, then you mentioned Macaroni, which is Blink's amazing AI tool. How much do you think AI is going to continue? I mean, obviously a lot. How are you going to use AI is probably a smarter question than, do you think it's going to be worthwhile? Because the answer is obviously yes, it's here to stay. How much do you guys are going to be using it to replace manual jobs? Use it to tell you what to do? Like, are there any particular other AI tools that you're using heavily, or do you find it's actually the way you use the tool, the smartness and the user that's clicking the buttons on it?
Yeah, I mean that obviously AI is obviously going to continue to grow. I think the big one for us is just being of an execution mindset. I have an amazing lady in my team, Grace, who just absolutely crushed it when it came to utilizing, and I think she was the number 1 user of that tool, Macaroni, for a consistent period of time. She must have been, because she was putting so many hours behind it, especially as a brand. And I think it's just about making sure that sometimes you do get a little bit of hallucination, so you just need to read it. But I think these tools are just making it so easy to, I think, make the products discoverable in the right way. And so you've got, we've always been number 1 for animal socks, but we're just now proving it to Google and then getting the results back from it. So, being able to accept the Highland cow link rather than going to my cow socks, just some small things like that you're never going to be able to code. Oh, that's not true. That is harder to code around, but just being able to accept and having a little bit of a human in the loop. My view actually is a bit different, and I said this to the guys at Macaroni, that I think it actually should be opt out. So rather than just clicking accept, I think you should just read and go through and you decline what you don't want rather than accept what you do want. Because I think that would change the quantum. We did a few thousand changes, but imagine if it did our entire website for everything that's ever done, and then you just go through and it declines, and then the model in the background works out, actually, okay, well, I'm stuffing it up for Highland cow socks, but I've got it right for that one. Therefore, I'm going to delete that one and not show that to Andy. And I think that's the place that we're moving to. And then what does that look like from a competitor standpoint? I still can't believe people aren't on Shopify. And we've been on that since the get-go, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel people are saying, like, cloud deployments are still at all-time highs, and people are like, oh, the future's here, SEO is dead. I just don't buy that. There's so many options where, there's so many other businesses that just haven't got it nailed down, and SEO will continue to evolve. Everything from a technology perspective will continue to evolve. And I think you gain a lot by being the number one in the space first, and then just continue to iterate. I really feel so sorry for my competitors because, we've still got so much more that we've got to do.
Yeah.
They're just and they're still behind us. So we'll just keep adding and adding on top of that.
Yeah, it's amazing you say that. Actually, I'll be honest and say most of our clients are either on or moving to Shopify. Certainly, we've
Yeah.
kind of got two client bases here. One that's lead gen B2B, or some B2C lead gen, but mostly lead gen on B2B side, and we've got the e-commerce side. Most are on Shopify. We are moving an enormous set of websites. Like it's 2 sites in each country, and like lots of countries, nearly 100 countries. We're moving them to WooCommerce at the moment, which will make you feel sick.
Ouch.
We've also got a few Magento stores and other similar brands who are not moving to Shopify. They've looked at it and gone, no. The reason has actually come down to things like transaction fees, where they can control that so much more. One in particular is a big B2B e-commerce site, and just the transaction fees, even using something like Molly, who's one of our partners, the payment gateway, even using something like that, they couldn't get anywhere near the savings. It's going to cost them £50,000 to £100,000 a year in additional fees paying Shopify's cut. And they were like, we just can't do that. Like we'd have to have that much uplift, and to get that much uplift, we need this % of improvement, and we're not going to get that on Shopify out the door. We're going to have to do a ton of work, which is going to cost even more money. So from a cost analysis, it just wasn't worth it. So
Interesting.
yeah, we're trying to take M2 headless is the stage instead. But I keep making the point again, you're still going to need some amazing but slightly nerdy developers working on Magento. But it's not my problem. I get to work front end. So we just make this happen for me and make it work. And it
And
never
make it
does.
pretty.
It'll work for us. Yeah, that's always the biggest challenge on Magento, I think. With Shopify as well, we both mentioned A/B testing and adding descriptions to collections, or adding a block of content about something to a product or collection page. It's so easy on Shopify. You just go in the customizer, you drop it in, and if you don't like it, there's I can't remember the name of it, but there's several of them now where you can get an app that has sections, and you just click a button and it just puts sections in using your CSS. And you can override the CSS slightly if you need to, but it just puts sections in your theme, and it's only compatible with certain themes. And it's like, great. I've been using it on the Winning with Shopify site a lot. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a few apps out there now where it's like, I need a section that's got like a full image and just an image that's perfect width and perfect height, and I can set it. Or you can get a section, it's like $2 to $5 per time you buy a section, and that's for life. And once you've got it, it puts it in your code for you, in your code base of your theme. So you're not even reliant on any subscription or anything. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I think stuff like that, game changer. And if your competitors aren't using Shopify, their loss, where you can move so quickly. So yeah, amazing. Well, Andrew, it's such a blessing to have your time. Thank you so much for joining us. If people are hearing this and going, business sounds amazing, I want to see it, I want to follow you guys socially, what are your social handles? What's the website URL? How can people get in touch?
Yeah, check us out at barekind.com. That's BAREKIND.com. That's for the sock business. And then if you're interested in following more about our journey, it's Candid Founders on YouTube. So check us out there, where we talk about all the things that we are just trying to help other businesses grow, exactly like what you're doing, Nick, but kind of more focused on a business side rather than the SEO side. So yeah, check us out there, Candid Founders on YouTube.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Andrew. I really appreciate it. It's been great to have you.
Thanks, Nick. See you soon.
Cool. And for everybody listening at home, back again next Friday. Thanks for tuning in. And as I said at the start, if you want to be a guest and want to come and share your story like Andrew has today, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to talk to you and find out what's been going on. So do get in touch with us. hello@winningwithshopify.com, or check out the website, www.podcast.com. We had to put a different domain on the website because we use Shopify, and you're not allowed to use the word Shopify in a domain. Thanks for tuning in today. Talk to you guys later. Cheers. Do you ever find that in your warehouse you have dead stock? You can't sell it, no one wants to buy it, and you can't get a refund on it. Or alternatively, you're missing inventory in your warehouse that you need. You've got sales coming in and you're low on stock, and you haven't ordered more stock in time. All these things hit profit, and I've been there. I've run my own Shopify store and had exactly that problem. But we've partnered it up with Inventory Planner, who have the most incredible app to help you manage that and forecast exactly what products, what SKUs, even down to what color of product you need to order in advance to make sure stock levels remain consistent throughout. They're also running a 7-day boot camp, and if you want to go and sign up to that, it's 7 emails over 7 days, and it takes the same amount of time as your morning coffee. And in 7 days, like me, you can become an inventory management pro. Both links are in the description. Enjoy.